When you look around your home, do you ever think, none of this stuff is worth much? Well, let me tell you something. When the system collapses, when convenience turns into chaos and survival replaces comfort, the most overlooked everyday items in your house will become absolute lifelines. I'm not talking about high-tech gadgets or overpriced prepper gear. I'm talking about the simple, cheap things sitting in your kitchen drawer, your garage, or tucked away in your laundry room. The things no one's paying attention to right now. Because when the grid goes down, you won't be shopping. You'll be scavenging. And the people who already own these hidden gems, they won't just survive, they'll thrive. They'll hold the keys to trade, barter, and survival. In this video, I'm revealing 9 dirt cheap household items that will skyrocket in value when everything else falls apart. These aren't the flashy tools you see on prepper lists. They're the quiet essentials you'll wish you had when the world goes silent. This isn't about fear or panic buying, it's about being smart, seeing the value before the shelves are empty, and staying 3 steps ahead of the chaos. Let's dive in. Vacuum-sealed storage bags. The silent guardians of survival. Take a look at those vacuum-sealed storage bags you might have lying around. Most people think of them as a way to save closet space or keep winter clothes fresh. But in a post-collapse world, these unassuming bags transform into one of the most valuable survival tools you can own. Why? Because they're not just organizers, they're protectors. They're silent, airtight shields that safeguard your food, gear, and essentials from the chaos that comes with a world turned upside down. Here's the harsh truth about collapse. It's messy. Moisture seeps into everything. Mold grows where you least expect it. Rodents and insects sniff out your supplies. And the moment your stored items get damp, contaminated, or torn, they're as good as gone. There are no second chances, no clean replacements, no quick fixes. But with vacuum-sealed bags, you create an airtight fortress around your essentials, locking out the very elements that thrive in collapse. These bags aren't just for clothes. I've used them to seal dry goods like rice and oats, keep socks and fire starters dry, and even protect sensitive documents. Once sealed, nothing gets in. No air, no moisture, no pests. And when paired with a manual pump, you don't even need electricity to compress them. You can vacuum seal your supplies anywhere, anytime, keeping them compact and ready to go. In a survival scenario, space is everything. Imagine needing to carry 3 days worth of supplies on foot. Regular storage is bulky, noisy, and inefficient. But with vacuum-sealed bags, you can compress your food, clothing, and medical supplies into a streamlined, silent package. You're not just carrying your gear, you're gliding through the chaos with everything you need, neatly packed and protected. And here's the kicker. Most people overlook them. Show up at a barter post with clean, airtight packs of food, while others are battling mildew and pests. And you're not just trading, you're negotiating from a position of power. I personally keep over 30 vacuum-sealed bags on hand, some pre-packed and others empty with pumps attached. They weigh next to nothing, cost almost nothing, but the value they protect is immeasurable. Collapse doesn't just punish the unprepared, it punishes the careless. A ripped bag or soggy bundle can turn your advantage into desperation in an instant. So ask yourself, are you storing smart, or are you trusting flimsy cardboard boxes in blind hope? Because in a world where survival depends on preparation, the person who keeps their gear dry, compact, and ready is the one who stays ahead. 2. Rubber door stoppers. The silent security upgrade. Rubber door stoppers. They sound boring, right? Like something you'd find collecting dust in a forgotten corner of your home improvement drawer. But in a collapse, these small, unassuming tools become a game-changing upgrade to your personal security. No batteries, no moving parts, no noise, just pure mechanical control over one of the most critical aspects of survival, your doors. When the world goes dark, the most dangerous thing isn't just what's outside, it's who can get inside. Your doors become both your first line of defense and your greatest vulnerability. And while most people scramble for locks, barricades, or other last-minute solutions they forgot to prepare, the person with a handful of rubber wedges is already securing every entry point without making a sound. These little tools do more than just hold doors open. In a survival scenario, they act as fast, deployable barriers. Jam one under a door at night, and it's not opening without noise or force. That gives you something priceless. Time. Time to react. Time to move. Time to protect what's yours. I've seen them used to block entry during storms, hold doors open for ventilation, without them slamming shut, and even wedge windows closed against pressure. They're compact, nearly indestructible, and require no tools, keys, or batteries. Just shove one in place, and you're good to go. Need to leave a door slightly ajar for airflow, but don't want it swinging wide in the wind? Door stopper. Need to silently brace an interior door in a group shelter without waking everyone up? Door stopper. Want to stop a curious looter, a desperate stranger, or even just the wind from blowing your security wide open? This tiny wedge becomes your tactical anchor. I carry 4 in my go bag, thick, high-grade rubber tapered for a tight fit and tested on tile, wood, and concrete. You'd be surprised how many people try to kick in a door and stop cold when they hit a dead wedge. I've even bartered one for food in a crowded camp because when people can't sleep without fear, even a little security becomes priceless. So ask yourself, do your doors open quietly, or are you the only one who decides when they open at all? In a collapse, the person with the wedge is the person who stays inside. And trust me, that's exactly where you want to be. 3 metal mesh strainer, the survival filter you didn't know you needed. Sitting in your kitchen drawer, a metal mesh strainer might seem like nothing more than a tool for rinsing rice or draining pasta. But in a collapse, this humble kitchen item becomes a critical piece of survival gear that most people won't even think about until it's too late. Why? Because when systems fail, you're left with raw, dirty, or scavenged supplies. Clean water becomes a luxury, and food isn't pre-washed or neatly packaged. Ashes, insects, dirt, and debris become part of daily life. And the person who can separate the usable from the dangerous without fancy gear or a lab, that's the person who keeps moving forward. A fine mesh strainer is your first line of defense. It's not a purifier, but it's a gatekeeper. Use it to pre-filter water before purifying it, removing leaves, sand, algae, and other debris. This simple step extends the life of your main filter or reduces boil time, saving you precious resources. But it doesn't stop at water. You can sift flour, ash for soap making, wild grains, or even bugs and debris out of salvaged dry goods. Need to rinse wild herbs or roots? Mesh strainer. Need to cool down small cooked items quickly? Mesh strainer. Foraging in bulk but need to check for rocks or waste? This tool turns chaos into order with zero noise, no power, and full control. And here's the best part, it's metal. That means it can handle heat, be disinfected with fire, and take a beating. Drop it? Still works. Burn it? Still filtered. That cheap plastic junk? Gone in a week. I keep a stainless steel, medium fine mesh strainer clipped inside my field pack. It weighs almost nothing but pays off every time I need to process wild or unknown goods. I've even used it to sift crushed charcoal for an improvised water filter. The guy watching me trade for it? He handed over a knife just to get his hands on mine. So when your clean food runs out and your water looks cloudy, ask yourself, do you have a tool to separate what you can use from what might kill you? Because in a collapse, the person who filters doesn't just survive. They filter out failure. 4 hardcover books, the forgotten treasure troves of survival. Take a moment to glance at your bookshelf. Those dusty, forgotten hardcover books might seem like relics of a pre-digital age. But in a post-collapse world, they become one of the most valuable survival tools you can own. These aren't just books, they're lifelines, packed with knowledge and leverage that can mean the difference between thriving and struggling. When the grid goes down. Think about it. When the internet vanishes, so does Google, YouTube, and every online forum you've ever relied on. There's no quick search for how to purify water. No video tutorial on fixing a broken tool. No blog post on identifying edible plants. It's just you, your group, and what you actually know, or what you have access to. And that's where hardcover books, especially encyclopedias, how-to guides, and survival manuals become priceless. These books are more than just paper and ink. They're offline blueprints for survival. A guide on edible plants can help you forage safely. A medical manual can teach you how to treat wounds or illnesses when there's no doctor in sight. A book on basic mechanics can help you repair tools or build makeshift equipment. In a world where information is power, these books make you a leader, a teacher, and a trader. I've seen firsthand how communities can revolve around a single book. A medical guide once became the cornerstone of a small group's survival after aid stopped arriving. I've personally traded a wilderness survival manual for a week's worth of food, because someone needed to know which wild herbs were safe for their sick child. These books don't just provide knowledge, they provide leverage. Hardcover books are also built to last. They can handle rough handling, humidity, and even serve as improvised tools. I once used a thick encyclopedia to prop up a solar panel during a storm. It didn't bend, didn't break, and kept everything stable. And let's not forget the mental aspect. In a collapse, morale is as important as food and water. Having something to read, to teach your kids from, or to simply remind you of civilization, can be a lifeline for your mental health. I keep a small collection of essential books sealed in bins with silica packets to keep them dry. My stash includes a field medicine guide, a book on North American edible plants, a basic mechanics manual, and a condensed world encyclopedia set I found at a thrift store. When the power's gone, these books will still be there, ready to guide me through the chaos. So ask yourself, when information disappears and everyone else is guessing, will you be the one with the answers? Because in a collapse, the person with the books doesn't just survive. They lead, they teach, and they thrive. Jute twine, the silent workhorse of survival. Jute twine, it's that simple, unassuming string you might use to tie up packages or hang a plant. But in a collapse, this humble roll of twine transforms into one of the most versatile and valuable tools you can carry. It's not flashy, it's not tactical, but it does more jobs than half the gear people pack, and it does it quietly. When the systems fail and fuel runs out, everything becomes manual. Building shelters, bundling gear, hanging supplies, setting traps, rigging alarms, every task starts with securing something, and that's where cordage becomes essential. But not all cordage is created equal. Thick ropes are heavy, bulky, and loud. Jute twine, on the other hand, is lightweight, flexible, and incredibly easy to replace. Jute is biodegradable, which makes it perfect for tasks like setting survival snares, tying down garden plants, or creating perimeter trip alarms. You can use it once, leave it behind, and let nature take care of the rest. It's strong enough to hold under tension, but easy to break in an emergency. I've used it to set up makeshift clotheslines, repair torn tent flaps, tie logs together, and even hang solar lights during night watch. One of the best things about jute twine is its stealth. Bright orange paracord might scream your location from a mile away, but natural jute blends seamlessly into the environment. I once used it to create a series of hidden gear holders inside a tree shelter, completely silent, completely invisible, and in a survival scenario, stealth is everything. Jute twine also has incredible barter value. In a camp where someone's trying to hang food or build a shelter, offering clean, dry bundles of strong jute can give you serious leverage. I keep rolls of it vacuum sealed and pre-cut into measured lengths. I also weave strips of it into my fire kit because jute makes excellent tinder. So when it's time to build, hang, trap, or fix, will you have the cordage that gets the job done? Because in a collapse, the person with the quietest rope stays secure, stays hidden, and stays ahead. 6 Eyeglass repair kits. The tiny tools that save the day. Eyeglass repair kit, they're those tiny overlooked sets of micro tools and screws that you probably haven't thought about, unless your glasses broke. But in a collapse, these kits become one of the most valuable micro-survival tools you can carry. When precision, durability, and self-reliance are everything, this little kit punches far above its weight. Here's the reality most people ignore. It's often the smallest failures that cost you the most. A loose screw, a broken hinge, or a bent wire on your glasses, your watch, or your gear can knock you out of the game if you don't have the means to fix it. And in a collapse, there are no spare parts, no repair shops, no replacements. An eyeglass repair kit isn't just for glass. Those tiny flathead and Phillips screwdrivers are perfect for tuning radios, tightening knife pivots, or maintaining weapon optics. I once used a magnetized driver to fix a stove igniter that everyone else thought was beyond repair. It took me 2 minutes and saved the group a week's worth of fuel by getting it back online. The tiny screws in these kits are just as versatile. I've used them to patch loose hinges on gearboxes, resecure solar panel mounts, and even replace a lost bolt in a multi-tool. These kits are like surgical tools for small-scale breakdowns, and in a survival scenario, even the smallest breakdown can have serious consequences. I carry an eyeglass repair kit in every bag I own, one in my go bag, one in my tool pouch, and one sealed in my long-term storage bin. They weigh almost nothing, take up no space, and yet they've saved me and others countless times. I've even traded a kit for canned meat because someone's only pair of glasses fell apart and no one else could fix them. So when the fine details start to fail, when a thread strips, a hinge loosens, or a screw goes missing, will you have the tools to fix it? Because in a collapse, it's not always the big things that bring you down. Sometimes it's the smallest screw that holds everything together. 7 Old pillowcases. The unsung heroes of adaptability. Take a look in your closet. chances are you've got a few old pillowcases tucked away, faded, stretched out, maybe even stained. They're the kind of thing you'd normally toss or repurpose for cleaning rags. But in a post-collapse world, those same pillowcases become one of the most versatile and underestimated tools in your survival arsenal. They're not just fabric, they're solutions waiting to happen. When the world flips upside down, luxury disappears. You won't have access to clean filters, sterile bags, or a fresh set of gear for every task. You'll need to adapt quickly, and that's where a simple cotton pillowcase shines. It's lightweight, breathable, durable, and endlessly useful. Need a makeshift field bag? Not the corners. And you've got a quiet, soft pouch for foraging, carrying supplies, or storing tools. But the uses don't stop there. Pillowcases can act as pre-filters for water. Run your source water through the fabric before boiling or purifying it, and it'll trap sediment, dirt, and debris. This not only gives you cleaner water, but also extends the life of your primary filter. In a dust storm, wildfire zone, or infection-prone shelter, a wet pillowcase wrapped around your face becomes a makeshift dust mask or smoke barrier. Injuries? No problem. A pillowcase can be torn into strips for slings, tourniquets, or wound packing when medical supplies run low. I've used them to line boots for extra warmth, patch up torn tents, and even black out windows when stealth was more important than ventilation. And when the nights get cold and gear is limited, you can stuff a pillowcase with grass, leaves, or spare clothes to create instant insulation. It's not just about comfort, it's about survival. Most people throw old pillowcases away, but I collect them. I wash, fold, and store them in sealed bins with silica packets to keep them dry. They're lightweight, take up almost no space, and have incredible barter value. I once traded 2 pillowcases for a working headlamp because someone needed clean fabric for dust masks and had nothing else to use. So think about it. When the world falls apart, will you be scrambling for gear you overlooked? Or will you be the one turning simple cloth into life-saving solutions? Because in a collapse, the person with a stash of old fabric doesn't just survive. They innovate, adapt, and thrive. 8. Stainless steel mixing bowls, the multi-tool of the kitchen. That stainless steel mixing bowls, sitting in your kitchen, you've probably used it to whip up pancake batter or toss a salad. But in a survival scenario, that same bowl becomes one of the most versatile and indispensable tools you could own. It's not just a container, it's a survival multi-tool that can handle cooking, cleaning, signaling, and more. When modern conveniences vanish, cooking reverts to basics, and that's where a stainless steel bowl truly shines. Unlike plastic or glass, stainless steel can take direct heat. You can set it over an open flame to boil water, cook food, or steam wild greens. I've boiled drinking water in mine countless times over a camp stove. It's fast, efficient, and doesn't warp under pressure. But its uses go far beyond cooking. In a world without running water, sanitation becomes critical. That same bowl doubles as a wash basin for cleaning bandages, prepping food, or scrubbing gear. Fill it with water, and you've got a controlled cleaning zone. Add a drop of bleach, and it becomes a sterilizing solution for tools or wound care. Need to catch rainwater? Use the bowl. Need to reflect sunlight for signaling? Flip it over. Need to amplify a weak light source in a dark room? Position it behind a flame. Stainless steel doesn't just sit there, it works for you in ways you might not expect. And let's not forget its value in trade. When the shelves are empty and cookware is scarce, people will pay high for clean, durable, and versatile tools. I've seen someone trade away ammunition just to get a second bowl because their group needed more cooking capacity. I personally keep 2 stainless steel bowls in my survival gear, one in my field kit and one in long-term storage. They're lightweight, durable, and endlessly useful. No plastic, no glass, just reliable steel that can handle whatever you throw at it. So ask yourself, when clean water, heat, and food prep become mission critical, will you have the one item that can do it all? Because in a collapse, the person with the steel bowl isn't just surviving, they're thriving. 9. Silicone baking mats. The survival surface you didn't know you needed. Silicone baking mats. You probably use them to keep cookies from sticking to the pan, and that's about it. But in a post-collapse world, these unassuming kitchen tools become one of the most ingenious and multifunctional items you can own. They're not flashy, they're not tactical, but they're incredibly effective and they last forever. Here's the thing most people overlook. In a survival situation, clean surfaces are a luxury. You can't trust every table, rock, or log to be sanitary. You need a reliable, reusable prep space for food, medicine, fire making, and even first aid. That's where silicone mats come in. They're waterproof, heat-resistant, flexible, and can be reused hundreds of times. Let's start with cooking. Place a silicone mat on a flat rock or makeshift grill, and you've got a non-stick food-safe surface for baking, drying, or prepping wild ingredients. You won't lose precious calories to burning or sticking. Need to dehydrate herbs or roots under the sun? Use the Need to knead dough or roll out forage grains? Use the mat. Need a clean surface to prep medical supplies? You guessed it, use the mat. But the benefits don't stop there. In wet or snowy conditions, a silicone mat can act as insulation under your cooking pot or fire starter, keeping moisture from ruining your setup. I've even folded one into a funnel to pour dry rice into a narrow container, a task that would be nearly impossible with bark or foil. Silicone mats are also incredibly easy to clean, nearly indestructible, and weigh next to nothing. They roll up, fit into any pack, and last for years. I keep one in every major kit, field bag, vehicle bin, and long-term storage. I've even bartered one for antibiotics, because a family needed a clean food prep surface and everything they had was contaminated. You don't realize how valuable a flat, sterile, reusable surface is until you don't have one. So ask yourself, when hygiene, food safety, and prep zones matter most, will you be improvising on a dirty rock, or will you have the tool that does it all? Because in a collapse, the person with the silicone mat isn't just surviving, they're controlling the chaos.